Mona, our host at the Bed and Breakfast, and she is a filmmaker.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a filmmaker since 1992. No, 82. I made my first film in New York called Nora's Secrets. I went to the International Center of Photography and I had great teachers like Robert Frank and Eileen Berger and Dwayne Michaels and crazy, wonderful teachers who did not allow me, this is very important when I come to these films, to go out and make photos of beggars and children in the street. They said that's banned, that's easy. You have to tell your story and define your backgrounds and define your influences. So we had an assignment very early in my film career that was describe your influences from zero to now. And that's not bringing in your photo albums, but it's representing your grandmother in light and space and your father with whatever. So this was so helpful for my sort of really focusing and daring to use that source that you carry in yourself with all your stories from your own family. So, my first film is a feature film. Well, I'll start with this one since this interests you. The music film with Mari Boine. That's Come With Me to the Sacred Mountain. We Norwegians, we Christian and colonized Samis very heavily, but it's never been told. So the Indians you have told all about the Indians, but these stories were hidden. And then I have a great grandmother who was a Sami and gave my grandfather 16 children, and she came south to work in farms at the time. And she gave him 16 children, and then it was never talked about her background. So I went into the archives and I found the stories of the christening, and at the same time I met Mari Boine, this wonderful musician that you have to listen to. She is really, really amazing. And she worked all the time because they were denied their language in Norway. They were not allowed to chant their special songs. And she started chanting, and she was, banned by her parents, banned by the government. But then in 1996, they allowed these chants. So we made this music video together. She played that song for me about 1 million times. We were driving a car across the mountains. And in the end, when I flew back home, I got this vision of that I read. So it's a fiction in a way, but it's a music video telling the story of the christening and colonizing. And this film created, I've never had such a media blast, it had like they took away the sports that day of the newspapers in Norway to put this film in, and it said on the front page, Norwegian film, shock. So what we did, we closed that press lid and we went up north with the film together to show it to the people that it's really concerning. So this film has been on a huge journey. It went to Berlin and had a great reception there. Very, very nice. And then it's this film at Ease. It's about my grandmother. She was a farmer and had 6 children and ran the place alone. And I remember walking with her in the forest, and she created a lot of my thinking along with my dad. They were very concerned with good hands. If you have good hands on you, you will be a healthy person. And they kept talking about these good hands and the birds and the trees, and they pointed out whatever values I carried. So this is a film that honored them. And then I grew up in a family with a lot of dysfunctionality and a lot of drama. So this film is really my cleanup job, and I think I wouldn't have survived without this film. So this is Cabin Fever. It's about a Christmas Eve in a very dysfunctional family, and they bring in-laws from Poland to a cabin in the mountain to celebrate a lovely Christmas, and it turns out to become complete chaos. But it's also very good because the happy ending is that actually the children tell the parents off.
Okay.
It's about daring to your loyalty with family is enormous, and that it should be, but at some point it could also go over and become a lambing, like you're completely stuck, and with the parents' dysfunctionality, these children really needs to open the doors and go, and live your lives. come back when you are
When you're
strong enough and healthy. Yeah, so that made a very, very big tour around the world. This has been
That
everywhere.
looks like a really good one too.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice.
They all sound wonderful.
It's a very nice one. I like that one very much. And this one, which I think if I was allowed to, I would re-edit it a little bit, not much, but it's really trying to put that community together of people having parallel lives without knowing. So you could be sort of very close to someone for a very long time, or you could admire someone on a distance, and all of a sudden this story brings all of them together. And that's when Maria has to rob Jesus to pay her electric bill. So she is highly pregnant and she lives with this really bad guy. And he doesn't give her any help or money or nothing, and then she's really desperate to pay the bills. So she goes to Jesus, he has a vegetable store, and then she robs him. And it ends up that he has to come with her to the birth because the water...
Oh shit! The water breaks.
And the policeman who the midwife is in love with brings her to the hospital, and then that really weaves into each other, and it becomes a crazy black comedy, I would say. I think the energy of that film is really wonderful, and the characters. So. Yeah, and now I'm working on 2 new films. One is From Green to White. It's about a girl who has been in jail for drug dealing, young girl. And when she comes out, she has very resourceful Norwegian parents, but they don't have time. So they put her in her own house, and then the walls are mucus green, and she's really trying to get a job, trying to get back to society, and struggles a lot. So she begs her dad to paint the walls white, and she's allowed to get some cheap painters. But these painters are angels, so they bring painters in white clothes, and they bring her egg and bacon. They are very shocked that she lives alone, and they paint her walls and her mind. So in the end, she's a very happy person.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
I like your films. Just your descriptions.
Well, they're all I believe in stories as healing stories, not like a moral thing on the nose, but so that's what I'm struggling to become. Very, very careful in my sort of steps, so that you can sort of enter them without me pointing all the time the direction. So this is what I'm very, very concerned with at the moment. I'm really working on that.